the first 3 weeks I was here, it was in the high 70s, which was nice, but every time it got over 80, it was raining.
Oh,
So it was
no.
weird. You're getting the same thing. You get a warm day, but it's raining. Mm.
Hey, I am putting us on YouTube now. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Sorry, you can hear the
Do we have
echo.
Marguerite?
Marguerite is logging in now. I just
Yeah, she's
texted her.
coming.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry I had my camera off before, Janet. It's just, it was complicated because my David is going to work and I need to usually drive him to the bus stop. But
Ah.
he, of course, wanted to go at the same exact time we're supposed to start the meeting. So my dad came to drive him.
Oh, that was
So, yeah, so, but then they were talking like fully, and then they wanted to say goodbye to me. And so I was like, I'm on the meeting. Like, that's the whole reason we're doing this. But they didn't care. So.
Hmm.
But we're all set now. Now I get the house to myself. Me and Noelle. She's staring at me, wondering why I'm talking to a computer.
So we're meeting
No
on a
one,
day
in her
that's your day
opinion.
off? Or
I
you just
took
leave?
I took the day off to spend with the dog. So I'm at home today, right
Ah.
now.
Okay.
But I've already done like social media posts for the library and I was answering emails this morning. So it oddly does feel like a work day, if that makes sense.
Marguerite, good
morning.
morning.
We are missing
Jane.
who?
There's
Jane.
Just
Jane,
Jane.
but Jane is not coming.
Okay, where's Amy?
right here.
Oh, there you are. Hello. Okay, so I will call the meeting to order. It is March 13th. It is 10:04. This is the Southborough Library Board of Trustees. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
How about approval of the minutes from February 19th?
I have a quick question about it.
Yes.
Under the 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph down entitled Exhibits, the sentence says the library will also host a program led by the community member. Do we have a name there or do we say a community member?
I agree.
Yeah, we do have a name. Her name is Shayla.
Do we want
Is
to put it
it
in or
proper
just
to
change
include
it
that
to
then or
A?
not?
Yeah, I can add that in. That's a
Okay.
good note. Yeah. So, because it's public
Okay.
who's doing it. Yeah.
And in the
Okay.
next paragraph under programs, Gorgeous Gardens, is that a name of a company or an outfit?
That is the name of the program series that Joanne, that's what she wanted to call it. So it's
should
Gorgeous
the
Gardens.
G in gardens be capitalized?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be. We've been capitalizing the titles of programs, so I can also make that change.
Okay.
Down at the bottom, expense report section, advisory board needs caps on advisory and board.
Yep, that I can do that.
Okay, and anyone else got? The other thing I might change is where it says director contract. I would say Ryan spoke with Mark Purple and Vanessa Hale.
Okay.
Contract, just to put their last names in there so that in 40 years, if someone is reading this, they'll know who we're talking about.
Do you want me to do town administrator Mark Purple and assistant town administrator Vanessa Hale? So put their positions and their names or just their names?
Oh, it wouldn't be a bad idea to put the positions, don't you think?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll just add in their names. That's
Right.
some good feedback.
Yeah, otherwise, I think it's, as usual, a beautiful job. Thank you, Mariana. So, here we are. Okay. Any other corrections or edits? No? All right. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I motion.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Second.
All right.
David have it.
Janet,
Okay,
your
second.
vote? Okay, okay, you want
Oh,
to do,
vote.
oh, in favor,
Uh,
sorry.
in favor.
Okay, David?
Aye.
Ekberg, aye, yes.
Okay, Amy?
Aye. Yes, Donnie.
Mary?
Cincy, I.
Okay, Marguerite, aye. Okay, so passes, and thank you to Mariana. The director's report. How about, Ryan, you take us through it? What have we got?
Yeah, the computer updates are pretty self-explanatory. I will claim fault. I was the one who broke the computer. I dropped it, and apparently it landed on the edge of the monitor. So the computer itself wasn't broken, but the monitor attached to the laptop is, which essentially makes the whole thing broken. So IT is going to give us a new one, which is nice because I feel like the trust has been broken now. So, but I'm trying to reestablish that with not breaking things. And then just, Jay was we kind of came up with a rough idea to start replacing the public PCs this fiscal year. And Jay is now not entirely convinced he can get the actual physical units before June. So he's going to try, but it's going to be significantly delayed. He has been having trouble getting hardware. So and especially for computers, I think at the discount, he's concerned about getting in a timely manner. The programs and exhibits are also pretty self-explanatory, with the exception of the community yard sale. So I'll kind of go to that last. I will say just because sometimes we're talking a lot about the challenges that we experience. One of the really positive things has been I got contacted this week by somebody who came into the library for a story time, who is an artist, who then wants to now exhibit following some of the other exhibits. So for the first time since before COVID, we have a wait list of people who want to exhibit at the library. So that used to be the case before many of you were on the board. So it's very gratifying. Like working with the exhibitors and the first time artists is something I really love to do. So I like to just point that out. And I'm excited to meet this new community member who will probably be one of, a first time exhibitor as well, I think. So going to the community yard sale, I wanted to kind of update you, and Mary, as our resident friend, right, can probably fill in the blanks here. But one of the things that they're looking to do in June is do sort of a community yard sale idea where tables would be moved outside into the parking lot, and then people could buy table space in order to sell items that they would like, similar to sort of like a group yard sale. So Sandy Pochapin, who's the vice president of the Friends, this was kind of her baby, like her idea, and then she's begun to develop this. I have reached out to the police and fire department for feedback. They've given me some feedback as well as, kind of their informal blessing to do this. They're not really concerned about safety. We will have to contact DPW to get traffic cones if we want to kind of cordon that off. And then kind of, as long as the board has no objections, my next step is to proceed with contacting somebody from St. Mark's who kind of deals with their grounds. But we could get permission to both park on the field, similar to Heritage Day, so that people could park across the street, as well as utilize their parking lot that's across the street from the park. But if you guys, I can also ask Sandy and or Beth Mello, who's the president, to come to the next trustees meeting if you guys would like to ask them questions about this. But I am attending all of the Friends meetings, as is Mary, and I think we can just update you as we go on their.
I agree.
Okay.
There's also parking at the townhouse if it's
Yes, and this will be on a Saturday when the townhouse is closed. So there are a lot of options. The police officer also brought up that Woodward will not be in session during that time. And as long as we're not conflicting with any of Recreation's camps, we'd have to just double check that. That is a fourth option for parking. So there actually is plenty of options. It will be a little inconvenient. If the plan is to do this on the 21st, if it is raining, it is going to be weather dependent. So we would move the event to the 28th if the weather doesn't hold. But again, I will keep you kind of updated on this. This is sort of a new fundraiser, and this is going to take up more of the parking lot than any sort of previous event that we've done. So
There's also the park area too. I mean, all the grass and stuff. There's no reason not to migrate onto that as well. It's town property.
Mhm.
So,
for the sale,
Well, how many tables are available to rent?
We don't know yet. The rough figure they were coming up with was 25, but we're doing an inventory of tables at the library and we're seeing about the mobility of them. We most likely would allow the friends to use the tables in Eaton that are on wheels, only because we've been using those for the book sales and that's been very effective. There are 10 of those. So right there, there's 10 built-in tables. We also did get some of the folding tables for the garden grant. So two of them are really good for the sale. The other two are kind of narrow. So not all tables are created equal is kind of the thing. We don't have a standardized width and dimensions for the table. So I think the other thing is I don't want people getting upset because they got a larger table than someone else.
Can they bring their
So
own table?
that is a question for the friends that I can bring back to them.
So I think that's a great idea, Marguerite. And I think that all of that needs to get worked out, as well as are there other organizations slash churches slash facilities within the
Right.
perimeter that we could borrow tables from? I think the general idea was that they were selling, if you will, they were thinking about selling tables. But I think the better idea is to sell a spot, right? So to participate in the sale, I think community members would sort of like purchase a spot or a table for $25.
I can
And then they
rent
would
it,
be
yeah.
they could come and sell whatever they wanted, and then they're responsible for removing everything for all of their own stuff.
Okay, but if
But I
that's
like
10
where you're
tables,
thinking.
Mary, that's only $250.
Oh no, say it again.
If it's $25 a table and you have 10
Yeah.
tables,
Oh yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
only
That's not worth it.
$250.
Exactly. No, it has to be way more than 10, I think. So I'm not part of the
the table
I am
committee.
100% in agreement with you about that.
The
Um,
price has not been set. $25 was what they were talking about, and the 10 is what we can provide with the tables on wheels. They were talking about doing at least 25 tables, and then
Okay.
also not just utilizing the parking spots, but also the area where we do the book sale. So I think the main thing is the library is going to be open that day, which is the feedback that I've given them, in that we do need to have some traffic flow and access to the handicap parking spots accessible that day. So
But
that has
if-
been reiterated.
If you do 20 tables, it's still only $500.
Yes, so I do think that the pricing is something that the friends are going to continue to discuss as they develop logistics. The
Yeah.
other thing is we've talked about different avenues, like the I think like youth volunteers, there's been a lot of talk about would they want to do like a bake sale, or would we want to involve the cookbook club? So that might be an added feature. I think there's going to be other ways that the friends will sort of be trying to do fundraising during this event. But I do think 25 for a table, a space might be low. But again, this is the Friends fundraiser, Marguerite. And I think as much as this is a fundraiser, I think it's also like a beta test as a potential community event, and then whether or not this could be developed as an annual event is a whole other discussion. So they will continue to hash this out, and then Mary and I can bring you additional information as they finalize logistics.
Sounds fun. Other thoughts from the board?
Well, I think I have two tables I could contribute, just those BJ folding tables that are big. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has multiple tables in their garage.
Right.
You can get.
There also there's been internal discussions, Janet, about the friends kind of getting new tables and standardizing that, but they do want to get revenue in order to pay for these tables, which is the whole idea behind why they're doing fundraising.
Yeah, this is a trial run, I would imagine.
Yes.
You learn a lot from it.
Right. I'm just saying, don't underprice yourselves. Don't do pre-pandemic pricing. Other thoughts?
I would just say
Sounds like a great
at the
idea.
risk of sounding like I'm peeing in the punch bowl, that I'm enormously impressed with all the effort that goes into the book sale, and at the same time the yield versus the time and effort that goes into it, I've always thought has been unfortunately low, and this would be
Yeah.
more or less the same situation. A lot of time and effort for, for the Friends is, maybe a precious $500, but there seems to be an imbalance, I guess is what I'm trying to say, between the effort to do this, the parking hassles and everything with vis-a-vis the potential income. But having said that, I'm all in favor of trying it, particularly as you say, Ryan, as a beta test to see if it makes sense to do for other groups.
Well, it's kind of nice for the library to host community events though, too. And this would be another one of those. I think that's a kind of a general plus. There isn't
And
an awful lot to do around Southborough sometimes.
bring
I
in
would also say, oh, sorry. I was also just going to say that some of the things that the Friends are looking at more critically now are the fact that we have a very low number of members in the Friends and a very sort of steady, enthusiastic, but very tiny core group that is pulled upon to volunteer for these events. So the next couple of fundraisers that you see are also designed to sort of like remind the town that we're there and the kinds of things we do. And for people who are looking to volunteer or put faces to the group, it's really, as you said, Janet, sort of about library and community outreach so that we can, this year is about trying to bring more people into the fold and in order to better sustain some larger events in the future.
Good plan. Amy, what were you going to say?
No, I was just gonna say I appreciate all the work they're trying to do to put in new things. It's
Yeah.
very hard when you have boards that have very few people, which seems to be the case on a lot of these volunteer organizations in town. So thank you, Friends.
Yes, thank you, friends. Other thoughts? No? Okay.
The
All
the
right.
only the last thing I'll say is that the book sale for June is planned on June 7th, and then this event is planned on June 21st. One of the things that the Friends may do is ask for community volunteers, kind of alluding to what Mary brought up, is that there's a little bit of a manpower shortage. So we are trying to give people opportunities to try to help out and volunteer. So if the trustees are interested in that, I think the Friends would want to take you guys up on any sort of even if it's just for an hour to help like cashier at the sales, because I know many of you have done that. I know David has helped in particular with a lot of the showing up early and helping to set up. Mary is a regular presence now at all of these events. So, if you guys want to help, just contact me and I'm happy to put you in touch with the right people. Or you can also reach out to Mary. So.
Oh, Ryan, would it be appropriate just to mention briefly how the Friends are going to be a presence at the art show, or is that
Yeah,
for
yeah. I
another time?
mean, yeah, because we're talking about exhibits, and actually, technically, Art and Bloom is one of those. So yeah, we can
Okay,
go right into that. Yep.
I'll just jump in real quick and say, I know you're all familiar with Art and Bloom. I mentioned this briefly at the last minute meeting, but I've since connected with the Friends about it, and Kim Ivers has connected with the Garden Club about it. So just at the Art and Bloom event, on that reception night, the Friends are going to have like a little table, a little section. We're going to populate it with probably me, maybe one or two other people, to again just be a friendly face for the Friends. We might sell we'll try to sell a couple of the donated books that are related to art and gardening. And we'll have some information about the Friends there, just again, as a way to kind of loop all these things together and make sure the Friends are just having more of a physical presence and connecting names to faces and names to the group.
Sounds fun.
That's all.
Yeah.
How about the
So you're
golf?
welcome to come by.
Yes, we join the Friends. How
Yeah.
about the interior golf? What's happening with that?
So go ahead. Did you want to go, Ryan?
I was just gonna say that we don't have a date planned for that yet, but I think they are looking at it as a fall fundraiser. Am I correct, Mary? Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'm remembering Sandy Pachapin has very graciously taken on the liaising for this. And so she was going to get back to the golf company, and we're looking at not Labor Day weekend, but perhaps one of the 2 weekends after that, sort of when kids are back in school, but before sports have ramped up. And it would likely be one of those Sundays because we want to do it on a night or a day that the library is closed. So that is still details to come on that.
Okay, sounds fun. I think Westboro did it and it got written up in the Community Advocate. So
Well, you can get written up in the Community Advocate by sending in your information, which is great. People need to know. So if something's happening, send it in.
Yeah, we are gonna try,
Yeah.
we are gonna ask them to send a photographer and hopefully a reporter to help cover the Art and Bloom, just because that's a big event we do. So hopefully we'll make that connection there, and then maybe they'll come back for the fundraiser.
Good ideas, all of it. So thank you. Other updates from the Friends, Mary, since you are.
So the only let me think. There's always some little updates, but I just sent around some language to some of the friends and to Ryan. You may recall, and yes, it's actually coming up later. Kim Reagan is doing the town meeting handout for the library, and we have just collated some information for the friends that she can pick and choose from to advertise there as well. So I think that's it. And then you can stay tuned because one of those dates that will also be happening in June is that our annual meeting on June 4th. We have enjoyed the idea of trying to partner that event with some sort of author talk or larger event at the library. And so we are talking, is it appropriate to say this, Ryan? To publicize it in this way? Okay, so we are talking with local author Meredith O'Brien. She has a new book called Louis on the Rocks that came out this year about a family's sort of internal struggle with the different opinions about the Trump election. And so it's gotten rave reviews, and we thought that could be a fun community event. So that'll be on June 4th, and you can look out for information about that.
Wow, that's an interesting topic.
Yeah, it was. She actually wrote it during the 2016 election. So it's just odd that it's now as relevant, today. But if you're not familiar with Meredith's work, she wrote the Mr. Clark's Big Band book. So a lot of people are familiar with that one. But she's a local resident, and she is doing this for us for free. Which is very nice. So she will be selling and signing some of her books. And then she wrote a book several years ago called Uncomfortably Numb, which is about her MS diagnosis. She's writing a sequel too, which is coming out in May. So this is kind of like timing. Like she has a couple books coming out this year. So it's actually really nice for her, but she's great to work with. And I know Mary got to meet her at the last Friends meeting, and I think had a similar reaction as I do, which is just, she brightens up the whole space when she's in it. So
sounds good.
Mary, just so you don't misunderstand my former comments, I will happily be part of the setup and the return cruise at your events.
Thank you, David. And I 100% agree with you about the return. I get it. I'm with you.
Well, we have the financial opinion coming in, which is always useful. There you go. Anyway, okay, so Ryan, do you want to continue with the director's report?
Yes, if it's okay, because this is actually one of the agenda items as well, but Mary set me up good for this, which is the town meeting presentation and handout. So I will say, we've been going through all of the information for the library. It's a little strange only because usually we're talking about like a new budget initiative every year when we put this material together, but because of the pivot on the construction, we're not doing that. So part of what I'm gonna announce in the presentation is I did yesterday have to sign in accounting the turn back for the $150,000 that was approved at town meeting. So I'm going to mention that briefly. I met with Kim Reagan last Saturday. So we were kind of talking about how to structure the handout, which I think complements the presentation because I want them to not be the same thing. So we are kind of taking a different approach this year in that we're making the handout more qualitative. So it'll have like more sort of interesting things. We thought it would be nice when people are sitting at a town meeting because they have so many data sheets to have something that's a little bit more like, these are the good things the library does. We're going to give space to some of the Friends upcoming events and information because there's so much going on there. So Mary has actually been one of the primary people who's been helping to develop the language on that. So Mary is sort of helping with the handout too at this point. We're recruiting. The presentation will be a little bit more facts and figures. Which looking at my previous presentations, they always kind of did that. There was like the ILLs that the library did from, circulation. We talked about hotspot checkouts the past couple of years, just because that was, for some reason, a controversial topic at one point.
Not anymore, right?
Yeah, so we'll kind of do that a little bit. It is going to be a very it's not going to be a pretty substantial presentation, just to warn you guys. Like we're maybe looking at 5 or 6 slides, with the end being the presentation of the Peggy Tuttle Award. I have not talked to the moderator at this point about whether or not I will be able to do it after the meeting starts or before the meeting starts. So it might be, I think in the past couple town meetings, I've been giving the presentation like 15 minutes before the formal meeting starts. So I would just say if you want to be in the hall for the presentation, just try to be there like maybe 15 minutes early because
That's good
that might be when I
information.
go on. So it is at the discretion of the moderator when I speak. So I will just mention that. But we're in good shape. I'm sorry I don't have drafts of things to show you at this meeting, but as soon as we start to finalize things, I will send them out to you. And then if you have any feedback on the handout itself or the presentation, I'm happy to integrate trustee input. So I know
Can I,
David will have edits.
they
So
will,
which I'm
David, the editor
not
will
trying
do
to
it.
single you out. I like your edits, David.
Okay, so Ryan, a couple things occur to me. One, we're not asking for money, which is lovely. Two, there will probably be presentations by several of the departments in town who are asking for money, which, okay. But I'm wondering, is it possible to put in just a couple of sentences about the Friends, just as a kind of
Yeah.
pitch, because we're all working together on library issues. So I think that might be, looking for people and don't miss our dot dot dot, right? So
Yeah. Again, I feel like I'm like calling people out, but Mary gave a lot of information, which is
yeah,
good. So I think one of my points to Kim is that I don't know if there's going to be space to put everything that Mary sent on the handout. So
mm,
some of that may go to the presentation. So we did think it would be good because we like to have pictures of some of the larger scale kids programs in
mm.
the presentation, usually because people get excited when they see those images. So those have been supported by the Friends. So I thought that would make a really good Friends slide. So I think you're going to see Friends information both in the presentation and in the handout, but we're trying to make sure that they're not the same.
Okay,
Like it'll be complementary, but not a repeat. Does that
okay.
make sense?
David, did you have something you wanted to
No.
add? Okay. Is it a two-sided handout?
Yeah, it always is. So-
Thank you to everyone who's working on that. It is always a lovely handout, and I think it's really nice that people can take it into the hall. And
And Mariana has also been drafted for the presentation. So she is working on both the presentation and the handout.
Hmm.
So
what are
I
we
just,
asking? What are we asking for with the presentation, or what are we planning to have as a
we're gonna talk about the money turn back.
Mhm.
So, and then it's really just giving information on some of the, statistic updates for the year. So I did want to mention databases and programs that the library offers are always things I think that we like to highlight.
Yeah.
only because I think people don't generally know
Yep.
how well attended they are. We did note that ebook circ is kind of nuts right now. Like it has just the exponential growth of e-content at the library is impressive. I'll
Worth
kind of say
saying,
that.
yep, yep.
So we do want to kind of highlight that as a feature. So I think that's definitely going to be in the presentation versus the handout, but
What do
we
we
are
need? What do we
highlighting
need
things.
though, Ryan? What do we actually need aside from the computers which Jay is working on? I mean, what would we like people to come away with thinking they need to provide for the library?
Well, I don't think that's the intention of this,
Mhm.
Marguerite. I think the idea is to inform people about what the library is doing
Okay,
and what the library's successes have been.
okay, that's good. That's it. All right, good.
And then next year we can tell people we want all the stuff if you want. But I will say we're saying we're not asking for everything, but this is my annual reminder to you all and to the community for
Right.
anybody who's watching or listening is that every year we do ask for something. We ask for the approval of the library's annual budget,
Yeah.
which I don't want to minimize. I think I know it hasn't come up in a lot of discussions this year. I know we haven't had to go before the select board and advisory, but is still important because that is how the library pays our staff and it's how we pay for our materials. So I cannot undervalue the importance of having our budget approved and the community's support of that. So when the friends always ask what they can do, I always say, please go to town meeting, please vote for our budget because it's as important as capital items as anything else. So
Can I say it's a really good looking budget? You did a really good job on that budget. There was no pushback at all, I don't think. So that was really
thank
good.
you. I tried, but I mean, sometimes there is pushback, and I would argue those budgets have been good too. It just depends
It's
on the
true,
year.
it's true,
right?
anyway. Okay, so that is great. Anything else in the director's report that you want to,
The conversation with the police department, I haven't even started that. I just wanted to notify you guys that if
Yep.
we do an active stabber shooter training, I will kind of notify you. I know that the police is somewhat short-staffed right now, so this might be something that has to happen when the department is a little bit more staffed.
Yeah.
But it is something that a lot of this came out of the town's de-escalation training, is that there were discussions about where are the panic buttons. I'm talking to John about adding a panic button in the teen room. So I'm hoping I can report to you on that at some point in April. Those are very early discussions. We've also talked about long-term adding additional cameras, especially to the downstairs area. So those are all sort of initial discussions too. But enhancing the building security, especially since we're going to be in our building for a while, is something we're looking at doing and we're having discussions about.
Yep. And
I just have a quick question about this. When
Yes.
that does get discussed, because this is kind of like a rules question about how our board operates. Some of that information might be a little sensitive or maybe not something we want to broadcast in a live meeting. Do we have the authority to kind of meet offline as a group and discuss
No.
some of those things?
No.
No.
Not even
Do
when they are
executive-
related
You can
to
do
safety?
executive session if you want to do that.
Oh,
It
yeah.
needs to be on the
Okay.
agenda.
But those are not recorded?
It would be like if it was specific about a staff member or me really, because I'm the one who reports to you. But
Yeah, it's like
are
a
you,
personnel issue,
Yeah.
or it could be a job action, but I see what you mean, Mary, about that, about not like broadcasting it. But it's, if you do, even if it's an executive session,
Yeah.
you have to release the minutes in a certain amount of time, like a year later or whatever it is. And
Okay.
Janet is nodding her head because she has more experience with this than I do about various
No,
things.
I'm all
But
for
it's-
transparency, full stop. But also, if we're designing plans to keep staff and patrons safe, I
Right.
don't necessarily want to advertise where the loopholes are.
Where are the panic buttons?
Yeah,
Right.
I think the information that we publicly release, Mary, I will be thoughtful about, and I will have feedback on the security of the department. The reason why I'm kind of announcing, there's two parts of announcing the active stabber shooter training. If we do another one of those, is you may recall, but the last, for anybody who was part of the board then, because it's been a while, we did invite trustees to attend with the staff. I would like to offer that again, if any of you are available. It will be during the day, so there may be people who can't go. But if you are interested in taking the training with the staff, we'll extend that to trustees. I think that's important so that you guys know the information and
That
what the
was a
staff
great
is facing
training,
to.
by the way. It was
And
really,
then,
yeah.
yeah, the more important piece is that we will probably have to close for part of that day. So we also, to your sort of note about transparency, even though this is public and it's going in our minutes, we may say that the library is closing for professional development staff day versus why we're closing. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
So a lot of that can be kind of mitigated, I think, with what we're putting out publicly. But we would target this most likely on a Monday, if the police department is amenable, only because I have the biggest concentration of staff, especially the full-time staff on that day. So,
Ryan, you implied that, well, let me put it a different way. Is there some incident or incidents plural that have caused this to come to the fore? I mean, is this a police department suggestion? Is this just sign of the times?
so sign of the times, David. We did this in response to a stabbing incident that occurred in Winchester several years ago.
Yep,
So
I
that was
remember that.
why the department already had an active shooter training where if somebody comes into a public facility with a gun, I also encourage them to add edged weapons only because that's something that libraries were facing. So the thing is we did that training once. I have a lot of new staff now, a lot of new part-time staff who didn't know there were panic buttons at the library, haven't been through this training, haven't had any contact with the police department as far as a security training. And to also, with this group, there have been board members who were not present when we did this training. So the other thing is, I don't want to do a training and then have that be it. Like, I think we need refreshers on some of this stuff. Like, security is not something that becomes less important. In many ways, it becomes more important as we're continuing. And again, I mean, I think just given the climate, the security issues are continuing to happen at libraries. So I think that this is just more, even though we don't face stuff every day, I don't think the information and the training is a bad idea for us to be proactive on. And
It's
not
a really good training for any building, any person,
Yeah.
anywhere.
I
So,
would definitely attend myself.
yeah.
I have the same question for the last bullet point.
I see you, Janet.
Can
Patron
we stay
behavior
on this
policy.
topic?
Is that something that we're
Wait a
an
second.
initiative that we are taking, or again, is this sign of the times?
You're
I'll get
talking
to you,
about
Janet, in a second.
so you're talking about the code of conduct that we really just came out because I think that's something we need to develop too. That's more of a long term.
Okay,
All right.
Janet?
I'm assuming that whatever training, back to the training we're talking about, would be consistent with what the kids hear in school and get trained on in school. So I think we're really remiss if we don't do this because we should be very consistent with what they're trained to do when they're in school.
Yeah.
If anything happened when kids were in the building.
Yeah.
I haven't been through the training, so I'm looking forward to this, but yeah, if we're not doing things exactly the way the schools do, then it's going to be very, worse situation than
Yeah,
without.
so it is a training that's put from the police department. And I will just mention, we can train the staff. We can't train patrons. If I could control patron behavior, we'd never
Yeah.
have any problems that we'd ever have to talk about here, everyone.
Yeah.
But
If
I
kids
think
are trained to do a certain thing,
yes.
head for the exits, for example, then we shouldn't have, then we shouldn't be having people say, "Oh, get behind the desk," because we
Yeah.
don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
it's all done by the police department, so
Right.
they'll sort
Be
it out, but that's
consistent.
a really good point.
And
So,
again, this wasn't the reason why it's sort of coming up to now, David, is because I didn't know if our building was going to be under construction or we were going to be
Yep.
starting sort of a construction project. So since we're going to be in the building the way that it is for the next several years, we should train staff on what to do and where to kind of go. I will say the police department doesn't love that we have windows in the stacks that don't open. There was a couple different security concerns, but we go over all of this in the training. So part
Okay.
of this is like how you get out of the building if there's a
Right, and we don't want to go into that on
Correct.
air, Mary, you're
Yeah,
totally
correct.
right.
Mhm.
So this is all another way to do this, to get around the violation of the open meeting law, is Ryan can disperse any information to us separately with as the sort of central info without us
Perfect.
violating open meeting law. So I
Great.
take your point, and
Yeah.
so that Ryan, you may be called upon to repeat something 5 times over and over and over, but thank you for that. Okay, so yeah, it's a good point. All right, so this is good. Moving right along, Ryan, what else do you need us to know?
Just that we're gonna start doing some drafts of a code of conduct, patron behavior policy. So that'll be kind of floated to the staff. I think I'm gonna talk to Kim and Mariana about it kind of first. They're my first stops. And then hopefully we'll have a draft in the next couple months. There's a few things I'm working on kind of document wise. So I just wanted to put this on the radar just because we're kind of finishing up. Hopefully the safe child policy today is to look at doing what I think the next policy we need to be looking at is. So
Is there any event that prompted this policy?
there's a few
behavior.
different things that have come up that I think would be, there's nothing that's I think specific. There's things that have happened over the years that I think we want to make sure, since we're posting a safe child policy, I think having general rules of conduct is also not a bad idea on what our expectations for people coming into the building are.
Okay.
So will people follow this is a whole separate issue.
Yeah.
Enforcement, whole separate issue. But I think having what our expectations are as a library is not a bad thing to start putting out into the universe.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed. Okay. So are we ready for the expense report?
No, can we do the safe child policy because we have Kim here?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Is that
Okay,
okay? And then we
that
can
was
go to
item number
expense?
5.
Okay.
Let's do it, okay?
She's been waiting very patiently.
You are so patient. Okay, what do we, thoughts on the safe child policy?
Did
Good.
everyone read the revised one?
Yep.
Nice and short, pithy.
Yeah. Were there more revisions after you just sent it out?
No.
Okay.
So there was
And-
slight feedback from the town council, which has been integrated.
Right,
And
and that's
then-
what you sent out.
Yes, well, and honestly, one trustee who can speak up if they want to, but did give slight feedback on some of the wording that I think helped enhance it as well. So there wasn't substantive changes. It was just in making sure that it made sense and that we were not being too flexible or too
I think it
specific.
looks great.
Too specific. Let me
And
put it
thank
like
you for putting the revised date in
Yeah.
the lower right-hand corner, so we
Yeah.
know which iteration we're looking at, so.
I have David to just talk about your issue from last month. Kim and I did discuss laminating some of the policies and posting it in different areas. Kim can speak to this, but she was not opposed to doing that.
I'm okay with that.
Good.
I have just a wording question, Ryan, on the third bullet, the last line in the third bullet point. You say, in particular, if the library building has closed for the day. If
sorry,
I were the
that was-
author, I would have said is about to close, because if the building is already closed and locked up, do we have a kid inside by himself? Do we have a kid outside by himself? And so maybe that's just a word choice thing, but is staff might
David,
be,
I'm gonna,
it might
I'm
be
gonna,
useful for
sorry.
staff to have the flexibility if it's 3 minutes before
Wait a
closing.
second, Ryan
take
has
action.
Da-
some data for you.
So David, I'm sorry, you're looking at an older version of the policy. That line was highlighted by the trustee who I mentioned, who said we should just remove it. So everything after in particular is now out of the policy. So
Oh,
you're not,
okay.
you're looking
Sorry.
at, that was one of the only things that was removed from version to version.
Okay.
I think the other thing was putting a plural on one of the words because it was grammatically incorrect. So everything after that, your concern was addressed by another trustee,
Okay.
David. That piece has been removed, and then I will make sure that you get a corrected version.
Okay, so we're dealing with the one that says 3/10/2025.
Yes, correct.
Do I
So
have a
at the
motion
bot,
to accept it as written?
Motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second,
All right,
before you
I'll-
vote,
yes,
Marguerite, though,
yes.
I would just ask if Kim has any feedback because she did
yes.
join us to talk about this topic, if that's
Okay.
okay, just for the
Good.
purposes of discussion.
I'm good with the final version of it. I think it is enough to say, we have this, but not so specific that it's going to make everybody uncomfortable, staff and children and parents.
Right.
So, so I'm good with it.
Okay, good. Thank you for your work on this, all of you, really. It's hard to
And-
get everything down to one very
Yeah.
diplomatic sounding page, isn't it?
And Kim did spend a lot of time reviewing this and giving thoughtful feedback on
Yeah.
it. So, we don't always see Kim in these meetings, but she put a lot of time and energy and thought into this, and that should
Oh.
be noted.
I
We
think it's
feel you,
very-
Kim.
Yeah,
We don't
yeah,
see you.
exactly. This should help, and I love the idea of posting it. Okay, so shall we move to a vote?
I will move, and then do we need to read
Okay.
my motion? Do I need to do that?
Okay,
No,
yes,
no,
I
you
will.
I'll
motion,
second.
you can vote.
All right, good enough. Okay, Mr. Ekberg.
Ekberg, aye.
Okay, Amy,
Aye.
Mary,
Cindy, I.
Janet.
Aye.
Okay, and Landry, aye. Good work, guys. This is lovely to put in the policy book. Thank you for all your work on that.
Yeah.
And I think it should help with a gentle nudge for people if they see it in writing about how they handle their kids. Okay, Safe Child. The library director contract. Ryan, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, did you want to go back to the expense report or you want to do the contract?
Okay, go back to the expense report while we're at it. Go ahead.
Okay. Any questions? We're just moving right along with expenses. You'll note that we just passed the halfway mark on office supplies. We're kind of waiting to do paper and toner purchases at the end of the year. So I promise it will be spent very quickly because we can get a big chunk of that wrapped up in one order if we need to. The other reason why I'm waiting is because the staff have to order book covers, the plastic casing we put on the hardcover books. So that tends to be expensive depending on how much we need. So I'm also just being mindful of that. But I'm hoping in May we have a better sense of the things we want to buy.
Good.
as far
Any
as-
sense of what may cost a lot more in 6 months?
Everything based on how stuff has gone. To be honest, everything is, I mean, Kim will tell you this too, but everything is more expensive. It is good that with our book vendors, with Ingram, we are getting shipments regularly again, only because we get a pretty significant discount on the new books.
Good.
So the fact
Good.
that we're getting the books again and maintaining that discount, because we were looking at other vendors where we got less of a discount, is that I'm happy we can continue to use Ingram and it's still working.
Good.
We'll see how things go though,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have anything scheduled or planned for professional development? Because that's underspent.
Yeah, so you're right, Janet. I have not, a lot of that goes, to be honest, to maintaining professional association memberships. I have also not talked to Kim about whether or not the two of us want to attend the Massachusetts Library Association conference. In the past couple of years, we've been doing that. I can tell you, just if one of us goes, we may deplete the funding for both the travel and the professional development for one of us versus both of us. So the other thing is if we start coming up with what the cost is, we may have to come back to you and just say, can we use donations or state aid to help fund it. So
Right.
I'll keep you posted, but
Okay.
if Kim wants to go to the
'Cause we're
conference
winding
this
down
year-
now. You only have a few more months to.
Yeah, so the MLA conference is in May every year, just to give you context. So if Kim wants to go, sometimes the way we structure it is, if Kim wants to go, I am happy to stay and staff the library and vice versa. So in the past, Kim and I have both asked to speak at MLA on different topics. So that hasn't happened this year. So none of us have an obligation to go. But Kim and I will talk offline and we will decide if somebody wants to go. I think it is on the Cape again this year,
Is it?
Kim. So
Okay.
you may want to go. Usually she wants to go to those. So
All right. I have to get off because I have story time.
Okay.
So,
What are we
Thanks,
reading
Kim.
today?
what are we reading?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
mm, mm.
All right. See you later.
Okay, thanks, Kim.
Yep.
Thanks,
Bye.
Kim.
The other thing too is that I believe Mariana has not obtained her Massachusetts professional librarian certificate. And I have to double check on the cost of that. But basically when you get your MLS, your library science degree, your master's of library science, you have to apply to the state and then you get a certificate that also comes with a certificate number. The number you have to enter in when you're doing the state paperwork for Eris. So even though I review it and my number is there, were you to ever lose me, or if like I was incapacitated and we needed Mariana to file the paperwork,
Yeah.
she could do that as a professional librarian. So I will say, I will talk to her before she views this meeting, but I have not discussed this with her. And I do think I paid for it on my own when I took the job, which is fine, but I'd like to reimburse her to obtain her professional certificate, only because she may have to use it at one point on behalf of the library.
How much is it, Ryan? Approximately.
It was like, I think it was when I did it, it was definitely under $100. I think it was
Oh.
like $50 or something. So but I'll say this, Janet, when we do a few $50 purchases, it adds up because we don't have that much for professional development at the end of the day. But this is it's a small thing, and I think it's a nice thing we could do for Mariana.
Yes, agreed. Redundancy, always good. Okay, questions from the board? No? All right. How about dealing with the library director contract? Where are
Okay, so I will say this. Amy Yazdani is my witness because she stopped by my office this week, and I have completed 2 pages of the contract. I just got past the point where I wrote out the indemnification piece. Doesn't this sound like fun? You guys are going to have such fun reading when you get your draft. So I should have you a draft by April. I feel very confident in that.
good?
But we've started penning it. There's been typing that has occurred. Pieces of it have been completed. So that has not been the case any other month we've talked about this. So I'm very excited about the forward momentum.
Well, no pressure, right?
I've talked to Vanessa about the next step after I write it. She has said I should send it to her and Mark so that they can review it with Labor Council. And then they're going to kind of come back, and then I will tell you next steps after that. I'm going to have more information at the next meeting.
I don't think any of us objects to this at all in the least, so.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens when you get the draft.
You want what, right?
Yeah, the goal is to try to get you to approve a contract in June so that I can switch to a contract employee on the fiscal year mark in July. So,
okay. So
I will tell you that the raise that is going to be hopefully negotiated in the contract will be consistent with what our budget amount is, because we budgeted for a 5% increase for all the employees. So I can't ask you guys for more than what we have in the budget. I know that because I helped do the budget.
You know, we're all very fair-minded, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, okay, so good. Thank you for that. We look forward. Library. Oh, the future Board of Trustees meeting dates. Did everybody get the email that I sent around again last night?
Yes.
Because We were playing name the meeting date for so long. I thought Ryan was gonna like implode, and I don't blame you. So we'll just leave these dates in there as so everyone will know ahead of time when to make their dentist appointment.
Okay.
that helps.
So I went through the calendar and the only one that there's a problem with is in October
The
because that
13th?
date is Columbus Day.
Okay.
Yeah, we can change, but
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
change it when we get to it. How's that? Rather than waffling it now. How about if we
Okay.
change that in July?
Yeah.
We'll move it ahead or so. Thank you for seeing that, Janet. Okay, Columbus Day.
you don't want to meet on Columbus Day, Janet?
Is it still
We will
Columbus
be
Day
meeting,
or is
but
it
we'll be
something
lugging
else?
books around.
Yeah,
know,
it's Columbus
Can't
Day
bring a
is
cash
a
register.
Yeah.
traditionally a library day at work.
Yes, it is a library day. We don't want to do that anyway. How to get more people interested in the Friends? Yes. Okay. Okay. So we'll deal with that. But the other dates are just like, let's do it like we used to in the olden times, which was it was a certain day of the month all the time, and then work around that if that's
So
okay with everybody.
Thank you.
for people watching and for the minutes,
There's
the
nobody-
meetings
there's
will
no
now
Friends
occur,
meeting.
with the exception, it looks like, of October, on the second Monday of the month at 11 a.m.
Thank you.
Yes.
Second Monday of the month at 11 a.m. on Zoom. Yes.
Awesome.
Nobody's watching.
No, we have no one
Maybe in the
watching us.
future.
I don't know why that is. Okay.
And
so-
again, that is assuming that the virtual meetings remain in effect through
Yeah.
the end of the year. So which we also have to note, because the legislature of Massachusetts has to either
Well, they
extend.
can't decide either, so there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think we have to vote on that. What about Library Staff Appreciation Week? What do we got for that?
I think we're all set. Everybody knows what they're doing, so we'll just go.
You?
We talked
I
about this, Janet.
Some of us may know what we're doing.
I know. Well, some of
Everybody-
us may act like we know what we're doing.
Everybody's just keeping what they were doing. It's the week of the 9th of
Yeah.
April.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
think
we don't know
Ryan-
which days or anything, right?
Okay, so I would strongly recommend doing Monday through Thursday, because Thursday night is going to be the exhibit of the Art and Bloom. And then Eaton will have to be used on Thursday for part of the day. So this in particular is for you, Janet, and for Jane, is that if you guys plan the breakfast, I would not do it on Thursday because of the Art and Bloom in particular.
Okay.
So do it
And
on
I can't,
Friday?
if we're doing breakfast again, I can't do it on Monday.
Okay, so no Monday. Yeah.
So do you guys want to tell us what day, Tuesday or Wednesday would be better?
I come in late on Tuesday, so I would prefer Wednesday because I really like the breakfast.
Well,
And
Amy,
I'm
do you
being
have this, do you have this laid out?
I
Or
don't-
schedule yet?
I mean, we were gonna do it just like we did last time, but if breakfast doesn't work on Monday for you, we can just swap it up to see. I'll just send out a Google form, see what works best for people.
Okay.
Both Marriott and I do are easily swapped. So it's just the lunch and breakfast.
Yeah, I
whether
don't think we did Monday last year anyway. I do
You
think we
didn't,
did a
you
different
didn't.
day.
Yeah.
there was a reason we didn't, but
Well, this one I'll
To
be,
be honest,
Yeah.
if the take-home snack things are ready to go on Monday, that's a better day, only
Okay.
because there's some people who only work on Monday and Tuesday. So then they would be able to take advantage of that particular week. But if they don't get it, they can always get it the week after.
Okay.
yeah, Mary, can you get it there before Monday? The snacks? Mary.
Yeah.
Right, then we'll do
I-
snack Monday. What?
So, this is a good point. So I'm not refilling snacks all week. I'm just doing snacks on Monday.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't
Okay.
know. I apologize if you weren't clear on that.
No, that's okay. So I will have snacks for everybody on Monday.
Okay.
That's great.
So
Are
Monday,
you and I teaming up again?
Yes, we'll do a lunch, whichever day
Okay,
Amy
right.
thinks is good.
do you want to do, well, Ryan, you didn't want anything big on Thursday, right?
No, I was joking. I think if you end with the ice cream, I would do the ice cream like around. I would either do it Wednesday or Thursday. We could do it for Thursday. That would be okay.
So Tuesday will be lunch, Wednesday will be breakfast. That sound right? And
Sounds
ice cream
good.
will
Yeah.
be on Thursday.
Yeah, I was joking about the working late Tuesday because I'm staying for the reception. So I'm actually there in the morning on Tuesday too.
Well,
So
Monday-
whatever day I'll be able
So-
to do the breakfast. Sounds okay.
Okay, so David, we're lunch on Tuesday. We'll pick it up.
Right.
Oh, so breakfast is Wednesday?
Does that work for you, Janet?
Is that okay? Yeah.
It does
So
for me. I suppose we should check with Jane.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
we
So
could do lunch on Wednesday if,
why don't you guys can work that out. We'll double check with Jane to see her availability if Tuesday or Wednesday works
right.
better. And then lunch can be the opposite day. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
I'm
We're-
flexible.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're flexible, right? Anyway.
I'll ask Jane.
Okay, sounds good. It's always fun, isn't it?
Once we get it.
Once we
In
figure
our
out
heads,
who's
yes.
doing what, yes, it's like,
So
all
we're
right.
talking Tuesday or Wednesday for breakfast. Okay.
Yeah. And then whichever day that isn't will be lunch.
Okay.
Okay, super. All right. All right, fun. And Amy, thank you for taking point on that.
Oh,
Okay,
easy to do. I'm happy
Yeah.
to.
it's always great. And I love that it's a week rather than a day. It's really nice.
And
Okay,
again,
so
we're talking, that's right, we're talking
7th of
8th or
April.
9th for
Yeah, either for
Wednesday.
the breakfast lunch. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
all right.
Any support, logistic things you need. I know I'm supposed to be being appreciated, but I will also help any trustee with anything they need, including configuration of the eating room, if you guys need that. I know Janet and Jane are pros at this. They come in and they move the things that they need to move. So, but
They
if,
know how to throw a party.
yeah, but
Wow.
David and Marguerite, if you need anything, you can
Been
let
on
me
my
know.
screen the whole time.
We've got the drill down with Wegmans.
We do. Yeah.
Okay, so good. The library director evaluation.
Oh, because I worked on the contract, I didn't work on my self-evaluation, but this is really just a reminder to me. I am gonna, because even though we're gonna be doing the contract, we're also gonna be doing my evaluation as well this year. So I will get you a self-evaluation. I'm hoping by April, the next meeting, I will write up some comments and send them to you. But I know many of you do thoughtfully read my self-eval every year, and I know it is very long. So I always feel a little bad sending you the multi-page document, but I do really spend a lot of time and thought into putting that together. And I appreciate that you all read it and then give me like very constructive feedback. So look forward to that. And then that'll just be the beginning. And Marguerite, I think if you want to set how you want to do the
We'll do the
evaluation.
same way we always do. Just send it out to everybody, send it in, and I'll take all the comments and put them into a master form. This will be the last year that we do this, if you get
No,
the contract.
I
Why
think
do you say that?
no, Janet brought up
Yeah.
last time is that I think even though I'm gonna be under contract and
Yeah.
it might be a multi-year contract, Janet expressed interest, and I think the board kind of agreed. You weren't here last time.
Yep, okay, so
Is that-
continuing to do the
Is
eval.
continuing to do some sort of annual evaluation piece, so it just may not be tied to a raise
Mhm.
per se. It
Yep.
may just be like I think I still need to be evaluated anyway.
Yes.
I agree.
Just to re-clarify, the contract is between you and the Board of Trustees, not you and the town of Southborough. Is that correct?
It's both.
It's
So
both.
that's what I've learned from doing the
So
contract.
they are a party to the contract also.
So
town.
you are the designated authority from the town. So I'm looking at the language of the contract specifically. So it's between the town and I,
Oh, it
but
is.
you are because you're elected officials of the town, you're like the agents of the town. So you're the people that I'm in contract with.
Mhm.
You are the town, essentially, David, if that makes sense.
Welcome to New England, David. It's like, does it make
I
sense?
just-
Sort of.
Yeah.
I know
just-
I know it's always an adjustment to think of yourself as a town official, but you're an elected town official.
Right.
So in this instance that you're acting as the town.
Yes.
And I'll just mention, I think I did before, is that in the past, there's been some positions that weren't reviewed by the town manager. And when word of, on an annual basis, performance review.
Right.
And the town was not happy to hear about that. And I
Yeah.
think that they expect us to review the performance of the director, and that's our job.
And it helps the employee as well to know goals and what to,
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And review is in writing. That's the
Yeah.
other part of it.
that's the other thing. Yeah.
No, it's good for them. It's good for everyone to know that, and it's good for him to have the backup that yes, his performance was reviewed. It was this level and whatever.
Good. Okay, so we'll look forward to your self-eval. What's our time frame on this, Ryan, do you think?
I think it's the same as every evaluation period, is that we should look at doing it. I should be getting you the materials at some point
Yep.
around this time. And then you start looking at kind of making the evaluation piece the next couple meetings, and then trying to complete in June. if
So
you
month
can.
of April, basically.
Yeah, because I have to start
Okay.
sending out the notices to the employees and then starting to do evaluations in the next couple months too, which is,
Oh, boy.
we have a lot of employees, so it's for Kim too. Kim helps me, so.
Yes.
Good. That's great. That works out really.
But I think it's a good thing to note, Janet, just before we end this discussion, is that if I'm under contract, this is what I've learned. The contract is how like the raises go through. So
Right.
even though I'm going to be evaluated by you guys and get your feedback, is that in the past, the evaluations and the raises are, that's how it works now, is that the raises in practice, that this is like how it's supposed to kind of work, is that evaluations are tied to kind of the raises, right? Even
Yeah.
though it's sort of an automatic thing, is that now the contract is going to be the piece that covers the increases versus the evaluation, which will be a separate piece.
Well, I have a lot of faith that you're not going to be like these pitchers and whatevers who get a multi-year contract and performance slumps.
I know. I
We'll
know.
make sure I don't
Yeah,
expect that to happen.
You're $33 million every year.
If we
But I
give
mean,
them
you
33
could
million,
say,
maybe.
I'm just hoping we don't tie future contract increases to getting building grants, because in that case, I might. Is
That's
it
right.
too
We're-
soon to kid? Is it too soon to joke?
Well,
at
it
this
was
point?
disappointing, but we'll live,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it
Right.
was very disappointing, but it was nothing that we did. You
No.
did everything right for this, and it just was not in the cards. So there it is.
It's not the right time.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not the right time. So there we are. It's it's fine. We'll carry on. Okay, so there is nobody in for public comment. Do we have any other business that shall properly come before the board? Sounds like no. Okay. Next meeting. Wait a minute. I'm looking.
I got it.
Let's just-
I'll help you out.
Where's my little piece of paper?
It's April 14th at 11 a.m.
All right. Good. We can all put that on our calendars. That'll be lovely. Ryan, that will free up at least 6 hours a week for you, when you don't have to.
Well, I
Find
will
out
just
who
say
can meet
too,
with.
if there are board members, I think we didn't note this, but if there's board members that for whatever reason can't attend on the 14th,
Mhm.
but there is quorum for the board,
Yep.
I think the intention is still to hold the meeting.
Yep.
And then if any of you cannot attend the meeting because of a medical appointment, because of an emergency, I'm happy to sit with individual board members, go over the content of the meeting. I can also send the recording, because that's how Jane has been keeping up on the meeting. And
Yep.
I also just want to note, if Jane is watching this meeting, I made a solemn vow to her last meeting that we would hold a meeting when she could attend. And this meeting was held on the one of the only times she couldn't be here. So I apologize to you, Jane, but I know you can do the Mondays. So I'm glad we made that work.
Good. All right. So, all right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, Amy, yes. What?
And motion, we adjourn. How's that?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Let's hear it from Janet.
Aye.
Okay, David,
Ekberg, aye.
Mary,
Tindy, I.
yeah, Amy,
Yes, Donnie, I.
Landry, aye. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan, as always. And it looks like the library is again thriving due to your fabulous leadership. All right, so we'll have a
Motion-
good rest of the weekend. Bye.
Motion to adjourn was at 11:10 a.m.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
And
Thank
thank you,
Mariana.
Mariana, for managing to make reasonable minutes out of this. Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.